that I have a background where it's not just blowing smoke up somebody's ass. It's actually a tangible thing, and Bill has seen, he is familiar with my work because of Nick Benson. And Nick Benson is a mutual friend at Travis. You've had Nick on for the Nightmare 4 show. So again, it's like I want to almost say it's almost incestuous how many of these people all work together and know each other. So it's really just, I have to give all the credit in the world to Bill, because Bill didn't have to do this, and Bill is a very busy man, and he took time out to be a part of this, and I'm just grateful to him for that. So I appreciate it, Bill, very much.
Well, you're very welcome. Thank you for the invite. Appreciate it.
But, I mean, I'm all about giving credit where credit is due. And I mean, to me, he doesn't get a lot of credit. And Bill has also been very gracious. And I have, he's shown me some footage that he took from in Nightmare 4. And I've seen a little bit from The Howling, but I have most of the Nightmare 4 footage from him. And it's a very different dichotomy, the kind of relationships that these artists have with each other. And what Bill had to do. I mean, Travis, I don't know if you know it, but Bill, not only did he do the makeups, for Rick Barker, and also touching up Robert Englund and doing other stuff, but Bill actually was on screen. He helped work the top of the Big Freddy torso, and then there's a couple of scenes where he actually doubled with the claw on his hand. It's like, I guess those were insert shots of the claw up close. But
yeah, my arms and hands have been in quite a few films, which is just ironic. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, the Donovan destruction, those are my arms. From Beyond, I think those are my arms as well. What other films? Nightmare on Elm Street 4, playing Freddy.
Yeah, and then, of course, he was in, the whole time he was filming Nightmare on Elm Street 4, he was also making an appearance in in Roadhouse.
There was some Dirty Dancing in it, but it was called Roadhouse.
Yeah, it was called Roadhouse,
yeah. Yeah, they had better catering than we had on Nightmare 4, so I'd sneak over to the set over there.
Yeah, and Nick told me that you drug him off and said, we got to go eat over here, and it's just going through everything that Bill went through to make this movie happen, and then him not getting as much credit as some other people, it really bummed me out, so I wanted to make it my goal to give him the credit, because he has done so much work. And I mean, he's even done a lot of the he worked on the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, Travis. I don't know if you know that, but he was a part of that. So his relationship with Freddy carried on over the course of 2 decades.
Shouldn't have brought out a new one. Now I hear crickets.
Oh. Well, we have had a discussion about Nightmare on Elm Street, the remake, and there are parts of it that I like, and there are parts of it I don't. But I do enjoy what you attributed to the film, and also Bart Mixon. You were reunited with him on that film, so
absolutely, it was really nice to see him. And Andrew Clement did a lot of wonderful work on that film, and he brought me in on that. That was very.
But one of my favorite things that Bill did outside of The Lost Boys and Nightmare 4 was. Another one of my favorites growing up was The X-Files, and I was a huge fan of David Duchovny, and the fact that he helped with the prosthetic hands and arm stuff for Zoolander for David Duchovny. I
was going to say, I didn't work on X-Files, but yeah, I worked on that. That was interesting. That was an interesting, and that was shot, or supposed to be shot, during, unfortunately, when 9/11 happened, so that was rescheduled.
Yeah, so I mean, they're just interesting stories. I know you were touching on some, Bill, about The Lost Boys, which is obviously one of the other topics besides Nightmare on Elm Street 4 tonight, is that you were talking about the two Coreys and then some of the other stuff that went on set. I'm sure Travis would be dying to hear that stuff. So.
Well, right. Well, the premiere party, which was the fun part, and that was, oh my God, here you go. For his 15th or 16th birthday party, and when we end up going to his party, here's Ron Jeremy and all these porn actresses, and I was like, wait, you guys are only like 16. This is a pretty adult party. What's going on here? But that's Hollywood for you. And his father was a casting director at that time. He goes, well, you know what, you should be in front of the camera too. And Corey Feldman just shakes his head. He goes, no, don't have my father sign you up. I said, okay. It's not going to happen.
But I mean, it's just a wonderful body of work, and again, Bill doesn't do a lot of these things. As he said, he's new to the podcasting thing. If I have anything to do with it, we will get you some more and get you on some more, because I know a couple of other people that are dying to have you just for your work in Lost Boys and Critters. You know, so
yeah, Critters was a lot of fun. That's a great film. Absolutely.
But yeah, you just missed Mick Strawn by like 5 or 10 minutes, but he's the one that kind of.
I was wondering why it was so quiet. There, he's gone. What the heck? Hi, Mick. Maybe he's somewhere, wherever you are.
But he's probably listening somewhere. He's making dinner for himself and his wife. But he's the one that kind of blew the top off of it. I was trying to keep it a secret from Travis that we had gotten you on, because I wasn't certain that you were going to be able to be on the show, and I didn't want to announce it and it fall through, because I'm not in the business of making false promises and bad surprises. So,
right.
But once you agreed to come on, I was like, well, this is going to be awesome. Travis has no idea. And then Mick was like, hey, isn't there supposed to be another guest come on? And I was like, God damn it.
The old man's sleeping already. It's past my bedtime, you guys. Come on. I'm in my PJs and fuzzy slippers.
But no, really. I definitely wanted to point out some stuff that you do on these live castings. You have a large assortment of live castings and stuff. I want you to definitely talk about that, because being fans of effects and knowing what goes into the process of making a live cast, and then the makeups that go on top of that are sculpted, I'm sure Travis and everybody else listening would love to hear about some of the live casts that you've done.
Well, yeah, what's interesting, and with everybody watching Face Off, it's unfortunately one of the processes that they don't cover. The first initial process you have to do a three-dimensional makeup is do somebody's life cast, which is obviously a mold of their features. The materials have changed over the years. When we did Lost Boys and Nightmare on Elm Street, it was mostly alginate, which is what the dentist used to cast your teeth, and it was a water base. You had a very short period of time to work, which made a lot of people nervous, but it was one of those things that I always just had an affinity to working with. And so that became one of my specialties. And over the years, a lot of the shops had all these face casts, and nobody knew what to do with them. Nobody knew who half the people were on some of these older casts. And I'm like, well, hey, I'd like to collect these. So I started collecting when I first started working in the industry, 16, 17, 18 years old. And now I have a repertoire of about 350 plus life casts from all different eras. Some of them that I worked on, some of the more famous ones, Vincent Price, the film Dead Heat. That was an interesting cast. It was his second to last film. His last one, of course, was Edward Scissorhands. But we had to do a life cast, and when he was going to appear at the shop, when he was going to come in for his life casting, it was a beautiful sunny day, and for some reason there was clouds rolled in, thunder started, and his limousine pulled up, and there was Vincent Price. Sounds like something made up, but it was totally true, like an Ed Wood film. He introduced himself and seemed like he was in pretty good shape and ready to go, and didn't complain one bit. We sat down, and myself and Eric Fiedler and Todd Masters helped apply the alginate. And it was Todd Masters' job to watch the nostrils while Eric and I applied all the alginate to Mr. Price's face. And he was relaxed, and so relaxed that he actually became really quiet. That made Todd really nervous. And Todd kind of mouthed to me, "If killed," and I'm like, "Oh my God, yeah, I haven't seen this guy breathe in a while." And all of a sudden we hear a loud snore. So Vincent Price just started sawing wood, and we're both looking at each other going, "Oh my God! Thank God it wasn't his last life cast."
That's from shit from a sitcom right there.
Oh, it really was amazing. Yeah, and we're just like relieved. It's like, oh boy, yeah, this will make the headlines. But that came out really nice, and he was a wonderful man to work with. Very, very, very good to everyone on set.
Absolutely. I remember hearing some great stories about him. And, you also had a run-in with David Bowie. That was pretty interesting.
That was neat. Well, I'm trying to think. We went to Top of the Pops. A good friend of mine, Mike Smithson, got tickets for the event. And ironically, I was dressed like a Lost Boy. It was 1986, so why not? not the vampire makeup, but I had like the long coat over my leather coat, and it was definitely a fashion statement at the time. And we didn't even have backstage passes, but I was kind of a brazen hussy at that point in my life. Like, oh, what the heck? Let's go to the back green room and see what's going on and see who we could talk to. And there's David Bowie, and there's Bryan Adams, and Mike started talking to Bryan Adams, and I went over and talked to David Bowie. I go, you know what? I have your life mask that when you did A Man Who Fell to Earth, and his eyes got really wide. He goes, really? I would like to get one. I will definitely get that to you. So his assistant gave me a card, and he sent me some backstage passes to the Glass Spider tour. And then to return the favor to Mike, I took him to the show, and we had a great time. And I did some artwork for David Bowie that went on his wall. Very, very proud moment. Very fun.
And I mean, and it goes on and on, Travis. I also did some research on Bill and his contributions to the second Ghostbusters film, which was even bigger than the first Ghostbusters film. So
my favorite Ghostbusters.
Oh, yeah. I knew that was your favorite. That's another reason I wanted Bill to come on, because Ghostbusters 2 is like one of your all-time favorites.
It is. I love Vigo. I can't help it.
Vigo was something else, let me tell you. Yeah, that was, oh my God, the Vigo stories. So we had to do his life cast as well, and he needed pretty much head to toe. We cast, of course, his face in a couple different expression, what we call an expression cast. Normally when we do prosthetics, we want the face to be more or less like a mugshot where it's static and you're just looking normal. But when you do different expression casts, you want them to look pained or agonized or smiling, depending on what the cast is needed for. So after we're doing our sessions at Industrial Light and Magic, which is a really nice big facility, and it's co-ed, lots of men and women working on different projects in different areas where it's all kind of sectioned off, but it's open. There was a showering area that Vigo Wilhelm von Homburg needed to go into to get cleaned up after the cast, and we go, well, here's your towel, and there's your restroom with the shower in, go ahead and help yourself. For some reason, somebody didn't give him soap, or there wasn't soap in the bathroom, so this big German boxer comes out fully nude going, where's the soap? Everybody in the shop, there's like 30 people, all kind of stopped in our tracks and just looked to go. Jaws dropped, and like, oh, better get some soap or he's going to stand there naked for a very long time. Quick, here's your soap.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And see, those are the kind of stories that people like to hear, and they're the ones that people don't hear often because they're not looking in the right place. You know, you have to go right to the source. And again, I mean, Bill's work has been just basically I've been a fan of his work my whole life, and I never dreamed that I would be able to actually talk with him because I grew up loving, you know, Jack Pierce and Dick Smith and Dave Miller and all these others, and Bill is right up there with them, and it's amazing to me that he was so willing to be a part of the show. And of course, I think I made him nervous because I said it was going to be live recorded, and he was like, "Can I curse?" And I was like, "Yes, curse."
Hey, I don't know if I cursed yet. I didn't even test the waters. Shit.
Yeah, it makes me uncomfortable if
damn
curses.
Hell. Fart. Oh,
fart.
Cut him off.
I got to put me in the comfort zone. You got to cuss as much as possible, so we feel like we're all connecting here.
Well, I mean, I do have to give credit to Bill for a lot of things. Like I said, I have an amazing assortment of pictures for this new Nightmare book, and those are all courtesy of Bill at Forsche Design. If you haven't been to the website, I suggest you go because as a fan of special effects and life casting and anything really amazing to do with makeup effects, Bill's site is second to none. He's got some stuff from Jason there because he did work on Jason Lives, which is, I think, another one that you like, Travis.
Actually, that's my favorite of the series. So we get a favorite. Yeah, I love Part 6. We had Tom Laughlin on, and
yeah, he's great.
Yeah, I told him that Part 4 is the best slasher, but Part 6 is the most entertaining, to me anyway.
It really is. That was fun going to that cast and crew screen. You know, that fire sequence, when he's standing on top of the RV on its side, we cheered. We're like, this is cool. This was fun.
That was some big budget shit you don't get
happen
anywhere
often
else.
at screenings. It really doesn't. But that was really